Counselor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'll get it. I figured we'll start the meeting and I'll load it and then turn it over to you. I'm playing boss today.
Awesome.
Boss.
Us.
Oh. Really?
I said playing.
But I'm trying to not do anymore.
And it sounds like you're doing really well at it. 6 o'clock, I think you're chair, so.
Boss. Oh, I guess we're ready, huh? The boss.
Still the boss here.
Okay. We'll start the meeting and I'll turn it over to.
Yeah, I'll kick it off.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
can just, thank
Okay.
everyone for meeting. We like to gather at least a few times a year to go over current park projects. We also did an effort kind of late fall, early winter for a community survey based on the parks master plan about the amenities in that master plan, relative priorities in that master plan, as well as generate, what did we leave out or what should we, also consider in terms of park improvement. So John's going to walk through kind of an update on some current and upcoming projects, and then I'm going to walk through that survey and kind of end with a series of the top notes of what the community said they were interested in terms of some upcoming improvements, and get your feedback and thoughts on that and how to blend our next set of investments over the next, kind of 0 to 5 years and then 5+ years, and what that priority is, with that information then going back to city council, back into the budget cycle, and continue to make improvements to our park system. So with that, I'll get John's presentation up and going and turn it over to him.
Good evening, Chair Mott and Commissioners. How is everyone doing? Good. All right. Yep. Okay. Well, it's great to see everybody here tonight. Like Greg said, going to go over some projects that are kind of in progress, kind of where some things are at, and then really is dive into the community survey. And also let's look at 5 years, 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years. Really, in the end, I have a full notepad here. So it's Parks Commission recommendations, looking forward, projects to look at. We're working on budgets right now. So looking at capital projects for next year, what does that look like? What does it look like, 2-3 years down the road? So, and at any time, stop me, ask questions. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So again, going over some of the projects, the multi-purpose field restoration, some tree planting and tree removal. I know you don't want to hear tree removal, but there were some trees that were removed. Our current CDBG project, which we did have our kickoff meeting with Paul Brothers, which is awarded the contract. Our community outreach survey, and then future projects. The field restoration, it's going in year 2 right now. So it's looking great. So everything from doing some aerating, some overseeding, some fertilizing, and it's just really just has taken off. And last summer, we tried a project with Cultivate Initiatives and doing some of the grounds maintenance. Didn't quite work as well as we wanted it to. So our staff is now doing all the maintenance in the park. So I know we had talked about Cultivate doing some of the maintenance, but we have hired an additional utility worker. And he's actually sitting behind me. And this is James. So he's our new utility worker with a focus on Donald Robertson Park and parks and grounds. So again, day and night, what that ball field looks like. I say ball field, multi-purpose field that's used for numerous things, from folks doing calisthenics, you know, throughout the day, softball, soccer, frisbee, you know, families having picnics on the field. It just looks fabulous. And that investment over the last 2 years is about $48,000. Tree removal and tree planting. So tree removal, we removed several trees around the perimeter of the Cottonwood Estates property line that were on actual city property. So they were infested with ivy, and it was just basically choking out the trees and killing them. We hired an arborist and had the hazardous trees removed. And there was one tree at the end of Hawthorne that was growing really right next to our access lid to one of our sewer lids. And guys couldn't do any inspections there. So we just had that tree removed last week. Tree planting, we're still planning on this spring. I know we had talked, I think our last meeting was September, October. And we had talked in the springtime that we were going to do some additional tree plantings, hopefully maybe get some shade in that just south of City Hall here. CDBG project, and I think I touched on this last fall, was to add some amenities, some picnic tables, barbecue pits, charcoal disposal, doing some enhancements at the northeast ball field with improving the backstop and the foul first baseline, third baseline fences, and adding, replacing the bleachers and replacing the dugout benches. So that project, like I said, was awarded to Paul Brothers, and our engineering tech held the kickoff meeting last week. So that's moving forward. Staff is now in the process of picking, you know, what picnic tables, how big a picnic tables, 8-foot picnic tables, 12-foot picnic tables, ADA accessible picnic tables. So a lot of thought goes into this process. It's not just open up a book and say, hey, we want to order these picnic tables. There's a lot of thought going into it. So these amenities, hopefully we can get this done middle of May, early June. So you'll see some improvements there. And it's not just replacing picnic tables, it's adding some picnic tables and doing the concrete pads also. And some access pathways, concrete pathways. So we're not just planting a picnic table in the middle of a, you know, swampy, wet grass, muddy area. We're actually pouring concrete pads and putting the picnic tables on pads. And you'll see the existing garbage cans around the restrooms just had regular lids. We actually put rain bonnets on them. What a concept around here. So, but again, I think staff has been doing a good job with, you know, keeping that area clear.
John,
Yes.
the question. Where are the new,
Well, here you go.
and why do we need concrete pathways to them?
Because some of them will have ADA accessible. And in order to do that, we have to have concrete. Yeah. So, and you'll see here, it's not a great picture, but at least it shows, you know, pathway south of the restrooms there on the left side of the screen, pathway going up to where the almost adjacent to the covered picnic pavilion that's there now. There's some room there for an additional picnic table. And then just north of the ball field there, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 picnic tables there with some pathways to them.
But the concrete is coming off of the regular chip
Yes.
pathway?
And so we can discuss moving forward on that one because that is ADA right adjacent to the park.
Yes, I
Wish I had
see
a-
it, Greg.
Little,
Yeah.
so right here, this is ADA right here. Accessible, so that's why it's going to be right there.
So the ones To the right
The
there.
trees here just will come off the existing trail.
Are those concrete pathways there?
No, but
Okay.
this will be concrete here.
Right there?
Yeah.
But it's coming off of the
Off the wood chip. Yes,
trail.
yes. So,
That's,
so these, the three on this side will not be ADA accessible. This one will, this will, and this will
Okay.
here. So kind of a mix, hard with elevation changes and existing conditions and trying to keep cost we're trying to keep cost right around that $115,000 range.
But do we need those concrete ones that are other side that,
Over here.
yeah.
Well, the thought process was so folks aren't stepping in mud and,
Oh, they're not in the park.
but also too, it's that ongoing maintenance. So if it's gravel, then we have to continue to put gravel down or wood chips. Whereas now if it's a concrete pad, we don't have to touch it. And there's existing concrete pads on the picnic tables that are there now.
and they don't settle
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. So there's existing concrete pads on those old picnic tables
Okay.
also.
So are the ADAs, are they gonna be marked?
That's probably, yes, they will be. Yeah,
So also looking at them is kind of obvious. So
There-
it's not shown here, but there'll be one next to the restrooms that's in that square plaza space that exists now. And it's more of a square table with three benches and then an opening on one side for a wheelchair. And then for the others, there'll be more of a traditional picnic table look, but the benches don't extend the whole way out. So there's room again for a wheelchair to roll up to it.
but I see what you're saying, maybe a placard or something up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's there, you know, if they're all filled up and then somebody shows up that's ADA,
We're also looking at updating our maps too, that can then highlight some of those features.
there could be some conflict.
Yes, so yeah, good idea. Putting placards, identifying those four locations. Yep. Park survey. So you were provided in your packet, the park survey. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, kind of a lengthy document. I kind of summarized it a little bit. I actually wrote some notes too. So looking at visitors. So about a third of the folks who completed the survey, a third of them aren't even residents of Wood Village. So that was kind of interesting. For me, it was interesting at least. So, and I think there was about 50 people that completed
I
the,
think 48,
sur-
yeah.
Do
okay.
they know
Okay.
where our park is?
Excuse me?
The non-residents, do
Well,
they?
they
No.
probably do because they expressed how they use the park.
Oh.
Yeah, there was,
okay. All right.
yeah, so
Because
that's,
most of the people don't.
yeah, that's what was interesting is a third of the 48 were non-resident.
Wow.
Yeah, responders. So, and they, responded. And for really the most part, people feel safe here at Donald Robertson Park. And it was really geared towards Donald Robertson Park. It didn't have to do with the wetland park. It was really focusing on Donald Robertson Park and seeing how folks feel about it and some of that public input. So, really the highlights here is lighting came out as kind of that wish list or want list, expand play area. Nature play area came up again, and I have some ideas in the end for that. Because I know that Parks Commission and City Council kind of put the stop to that nature play area on that Hawthorne end in that southwest corner last year. I think it was about a year ago. I have some ideas, possible location for a nature play area. And then I just talked about park usage and maybe recommendation. I don't know if we want to do, we are going to continue to do public outreach. That's part of our, one of the council's goals is to do public outreach. So we're going to continue. I don't know how that's going to look, if it's going to be interviewing folks as we have city events. Again, social media and newsletter and our website are great outlets too, but we definitely want to enhance our public outreach. This goes through, I pulled this straight out of the survey. Again, conditions of the facilities, and for the most part, it was pretty good. And for the don't know, I don't know if they're like the restrooms, there was a high don't know percentage. I don't know if it's because they're not using the restrooms and they don't feel like they want to use public restrooms. Don't know what that is, but for the most part, people feel safe and feel that the condition of the park is user friendly. And if you saw anything in the report that you want to make comment on, please feel free to make comment.
The one thing I noticed in reading it is they say it's much safer now that City Hall is here. And that the police cars are occasionally parked out front has made a great deal of difference in
Oh, absolutely.
their attitude towards the park.
Yeah.
So it was a good idea.
Yeah, and having the sheriff's department have an office here. There's, like you said, there's usually either a vehicle out front or in the back. There's always just that heightened presence, I think adds a lot to that safety factor.
Splash pad probably would have gotten higher marks if you'd have done the survey during the summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of
And
people.
as folks, each year as more folks know about it.
It's still being discovered.
Yeah.
Because we went through the one first full season. I'm sure next season will be even bigger.
Yeah, because it's going to be word of mouth that's going to.
The only one that Greg and I kind of looked at was that improved irrigation. What is that? And I don't know if it's maybe throughout the rest of the park, maybe the park frontage. We know because we did the irrigation improvements for the multipurpose field. So
I just want it to rain more.
Yeah. But
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
and this says field lighting. I kind of took everything as lighting in general because there were some comments about lighting the trails, lighting other areas of the park.
Oh, no, we don't want to go there.
What?
No,
I just-
Trail lighting?
no.
You don't like trail
Up
lighting?
and down, no.
I'm providing information, the feedback from the survey. Turf field, that was something that was brought up, and I actually have examples of that later on to discuss. Not saying we turf the entire multi-purpose field, but maybe just a little small segment that it's user friendly, because if they're not using it, I wouldn't use it the way the condition it's in, but we can discuss that. And again, it's the Parks Commission recommendation that I'll be taking to City Council. And when we start talking about budgets, soccer goals, field markings, and then storage lockers, all things that kind of came out in the survey. Again, I'm taking this straight from the survey. I'm not altering this information at all. Future projects, again, here's for some reason, lighting came out number one, enhanced play area, nature play area, all projects that restrooms, that was another priority. So one thing to think about too is restrooms was, and they were installed 2005, so almost 20 years ago. The use was only from March to October, and only from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Now at the direction of City Council, the restrooms are open 24/7. So it's a completely different use now. So we might want to start thinking about that. They're almost coming up on 20 years. Probably a good time to think about reinvesting.
A skate park came in over the futsal.
It did, and I gave it some kudos later on in the presentation too. So,
$20 bills worked.
yeah. So again, I just put these are straight from cut and pasted from the survey, everything from a fenced dog area, replacing old playground equipment, seating, better full-size multi-purpose field, small disc golf course, bathroom, which I assume they meant restrooms, and like to see more lights. Again, this is just straight from the survey. It's not my opinions at all, not city staff opinion. It's straight from the survey, and the majority of these projects are identified in the capital outlay in our parks master plan, whether it's through amenities, site furnishings, or directly called in. So it should look familiar to you. On the right side of the screen is the design for the nature play area. And we also have a northeast area of the park, which is the corner of 244th and Halsey. That is underutilized, has some elevation changes. That could be a possible area for a nature play area.
And the thought being it could be an extension of the current playground where you leave that one and go to the nature play where it's still grove-like, natural, but you're losing then the potential conflicting uses and concerns that we had when it was back towards Hawthorne. And it's back up here and kind of hitting two boxes with expanded play opportunities and nature play, along with the updated and upgraded picnic tables. It could really be some synergy over there.
Because right now, the picture on the left, that's from that northeast corner. I mean, it's just open space that, could be utilized. And we pretty much have a design already for a nature play area. Take some of those elements and maybe put them in that corner there. So again, something to think about, just suggestions from staff. Here's thought. I mean, that's Jim, you're familiar with this infield here. That's what the infield looks like. That picture was taken last week. Thought is not the entire field, maybe just turf the infield. So it is usable. You don't see folks using it now because it's not usable. And so it's that balance. Do you make an investment so folks use it or not?
When we have the investment for the CDBG project of the new backstop, the upgraded bleachers and benches, again, this isn't really playable. And if you think about it, also would be playable year round, where not just maybe for baseball, softball, kickball, but I'm sure you can do some sort of smaller kids soccer, skills activities or things on that section too. So we're trying to keep it in the spirit of multi-purpose while aligning with, the baseball infrastructure that's in place, while again, not taking away from the natural aspect of the rest of the multi-purpose field.
And the average infield is roughly from third baseline to first baseline, out second base, everything. It's about $120,000. So that's just a thumb kind of estimate based on the square footage. So. No, you're probably wondering what that cost is. That's about what it is. It's about $120,000 investment.
And so how long would this last?
Between 15 and 20 years. Lighting came up. So you have some pathway lighting on the right and then some field lighting on the left. Again, these items were identified in the public outreach. I'm just sharing those with you and, want to get recommendations and feedback from Parks Commission on what projects to move forward. Park restrooms. Right now we have, men's restroom, women's restroom. It's roughly 20 feet by 24 feet is the entire structure, but, it's about 20 years old. It's,
I think
outlived its useful life.
3 stalls each, I think.
Yeah, 3 stalls each. So it's, again, we're looking at maybe going towards a model like the one on the left where it has individual users. Folks may need to take their kids in there to change diapers, clean them up or something that they're not having to decide which one to take them in. So it,
Drawback with that is then it ends up drug. You're locked in your own cell.
yeah.
Well, some probably.
Right. Again, it's just recommendations.
Yeah, yeah.
Purely just
Yeah.
all options are on the table.
So have we had a lot of complaints about the rest? They're not adequate.
No, not necessarily.
They're at a point where at the very least it needs kind of an entire refresh on the inside. There's been a lot of coats of just general paint. And so that is, strip all that down, or we just put up new wall panels that are vandal resistant. The fixtures we had in there were actually obsolete. So when they got vandaled, we had to replace more parts and components. And just kind of give it, at the very least, the interior a makeover to make it a little more bright and welcoming. The other idea too is if you go more of the individual stall one, there could be potentials where they have automatic locking mechanisms. So like after a certain time, they're locked from the outside. If someone were still in it, they could, get out, obviously. But also in the off season, like the winter months, instead of, I'll just say maybe there's 8 stalls or doors available in the wintertime, you make 2 available. And so it's just less wear and tear, less maintenance, less cleaning, less concerns for users not using it for restroom purposes.
I like that.
What's the cost on that?
I'm trying to get an estimate on that.
Yeah,
I don't.
Because if it's a lot.
It's hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
I'll put it
Um,
on the table for a while. Adequate. I don't know.
I'm
If
gonna go
you're,
all.
if you're working toward
Every-
grants though,
Yeah.
then
Grants are.
Well, if grants would cover it, yeah, but if we're covering it,
There might be a potential to use some ARPA funds to cover the cost because of the public safety aspect of it. We're still researching that. And again, didn't want to get too deep in, what grants could be available and,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
of that. But
well, we could pass out shovels. I mean, there's a lot of ground out there.
and then we'd get concerned that someone didn't dig a deep enough hole. And
that's square instead of round.
Just looking at everything and the comprehensive look,
Drinking.
we have to start at least discussions on the restrooms.
Yeah.
Whether it's at 0 to 5 years or that
Yeah.
5 to 10 years, because they are coming up on 20 years. And again, they were designed for kind of part-time use, so to speak.
Yeah.
March to October and only from, 8 AM to 7 PM, whereas now it's 24/7,
Right.
365. So,
When you're bringing in picnic tables and, the park is definitely a direction where more people to do that, you have to update bathrooms along the way.
yeah. So,
During the summer, there's a lot of people out there playing on the field last year. And then the big events that we throw, that those restrooms would not be anywhere near adequate for the large evenings, that there's tons of little kids out there.
right.
Well,
Again,
for Easter egg
so-
hunts though,
There wasn't
we
any
had
lines?
tons of kids.
Did you have lines out of the restroom doors?
It's just be their pants.
I think what helps with the Easter egg hunt, it's a relatively short duration. You're, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours versus some of the, like we had the Family Fun Friday where people were here from, 5 to, 10. That's a little different. But again, we also had summer camps where some of the camp instructors like, we're not comfortable with these restrooms. And so we have restrooms in City Hall.
so again, just something to think about on the horizon here. They're coming up on 20 years and need to either reinvest or really put a lot of money into them.
Well, the nicer we make this place, the more popular it becomes, the more restrooms we have to have.
And the more people come here.
Yeah, and amazing how it all works. We build it and they'll come.
I don't know if we.
Yeah. So again, in the capital outlay of the master plan is a futsal court. They are doing a combined futsal basketball court now, and that's what the picture on the left is. And they also have futsal courts that are covered. So
Yeah,
just
see, here's the.
something to think about with
Yeah.
the lighting and covered and again, if you build it, they will come,
Yeah.
so to speak. But yeah, they do have multi-purpose futsal basketball courts now. Mark, Counselor Mark, here you go. Here's your skate park. So again, it's in the capital outlay. Not saying we can do all these projects in the next 5 years, but again, something to think about what prioritize these projects that have been identified and moving forward. And one thing with a lot of these projects is you have to have a design to move forward. So I believe it's the Tony Hawk Foundation. You have to have a design in order to move it forward. Yeah.
Hey,
I did a little bit of research after the
Good.
last council meeting and I knew there was a roadblock somewhere with that. And that's what it was, is you have to have a design in order. And a lot of these projects are for grants, have to be shovel. So shovel ready is you have a design. Okay, here we go. All right, there's your grant. So it's just, again, something to think about. And then I just threw these in here. We have this front area, the planter box on the left. I don't know what ideas on what we should do, and that may change pending a skate park also. And then the picture on the right that I actually included in the possibility of a new nature play area. The sign, it's a great sign. We add some power to it, some lighting, so it pops a little bit. That corner, I mean, it's pretty wide open where that sign is. You can see it, but maybe add some run some power through there and light it so it kind of pops up. Again, just
LED color.
some small projects, maybe some stonework around it. I'm kind of presenting high dollar projects, low dollar projects. Again, want to get a feel from Parks Commission on a direction. Again, here's a picture of the existing restrooms, a picture of the existing play area structure. Again, you're talking, $50,000 to $150,000 in a play area.
It was probably closer to 800.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right? And the cost and the insurance.
Because that's what you're paying for is the
Yeah,
insurance and the liability of it. And I'm getting my costs from the playground they put in at the Fairview Elementary School is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it is top notch. You got educational little things all dotted throughout it, incorporated with the play parts. And yeah, that was over $1 million play structure. So figure ours wouldn't be that big. I mean, theirs is quite huge. But it's not unreasonable to think $800,000 to replace what we have.
Again,
Not real
combined design.
big.
Correct. I mean, different elements and kind of maybe a different layout, but essentially within the same footprint of the playground.
Something elaborate. I mean, this is just examples of that are around. Something else too, think about maybe other parts of the park that are maybe underutilized. Maybe, just a quick 3-round Frisbee golf. Something to think about that's kind of off the beaten path, so to speak, because I think that's what one of the issues that was brought up was park visitors and walkers and possibly getting, again, struck with a Frisbee. So maybe an underutilized part of the park, kind of that south area.
Almost build it where it's skills based because you have some elevation change maybe, or, some trees. So it's not the longest in in terms of the course, but you can really kind of like an executive course versus a regular golf course. You just kind of try to build your short game skills or some other skills with it.
Not a big, course, maybe just a three-hole course, something where folks can, people of all ages can enjoy it. So again, high dollar projects, low dollar projects, just, throwing it out there. And then this is one area I know we've talked about. It's it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. It's just blank. We did try and move that sign that's in the background of that picture on the left side there, and it's just, we start moving it, it's gonna fall apart. So that's not gonna work there. I know we had discussed with Parks Commission there, and then we also, Parks Commission, talked about maybe some directional arrows, ball field, restrooms, city hall. Again, want to get some feedback, some recommendations on some of, this is what I call a low dollar project that can go a long way. Recommendations, capital projects. I know I gave you a lot of information.
I also just want to throw out one more quick thing. Because at your last meeting, we did talk about doing distance markers along the trail. We're still working on that. So we haven't forgot about that one. We're trying to incorporate it where you can come to the park from a couple different points and have the markers be meaningful. So it's not just you started here and then, by the time you get to Hawthorne, you've gone, a mile and a half. It's you started at Hawthorne and got here, you've gone a mile and a half or whatever that is. So we're trying to figure out the right method to incorporate two sides, or, is the walking track separate and then you have the nature trail, and how can you incorporate the two? So we're still working on that in terms of signage, plus probably some additional wayfinding as you get towards the south end of the park too. So as guests are walking the trail, exploring that, they have a sense of what's there and what to explore.
Any questions, comments?
I love the idea of having a sign out front that says what we provide and arrows or directions to these ideas. I mean, why put in the Frisbee place if people don't know it's there? But if it's right there when you enter the park or any of the places to go, then they'll use them. So I really like that idea. So
I used to play it all the time when I
Yeah.
I think
You
signs.
have any
are good,
thoughts?
as
Okay.
far as
Frisbee
trails
golf?
and where to find things. Talked about that the last meeting. I think of signs for the trails because nobody knows they extend up the hill.
Right.
So, yeah.
Low
Oh,
dollar.
and you could put on the front, the distance. We had talked about that too, putting along a distance
Yeah,
the trails
yeah.
are, so they know that, oh, there's a decent walking trail here instead of just
Yeah,
stating the walking trail.
exactly.
You decide that?
Yeah, I think signage is very important
Mhm.
and hey, I walked a mile and a half.
Right.
Or whatever. I think that's, and Frisbee golf this way or ball field or whatever. People know the ball field.
I'm hearing a lot of Frisbee golf here.
It's
Never
disc
played it,
golf.
but-
Disc-
You tell anybody Frisbee golf, they go,
It
"What?
shows our age. Yeah.
I'm not old. Are you old?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
No, he's
Worn out.
Isn't it frolf or something?
Huh?
Frolf? Frisbee with golf? It's frolf.
no.
I want to turn to James. He's met some disc golf folk. What do they call it? Disking.
Disking.
There you go.
Disking, yeah.
That was a
No
dance. when I was-
Frisbee, no brawl, just Frisbee.
John, can I
Well,
say
I have a
something?
few things that I'd like to, oh, sure.
Can you guys hear me
Oh,
okay?
he's doing that.
Yeah, just a minute, Counselor. Greg's going to raise the volume.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, I would love to see that maybe in the signage or in like markers that we incorporate some type of element in relation to the Grand Ronde. We did a facility tour of their art museum, and they have some beautiful woodwork, columns that I think would fit really well with our nature theme in our park, and I think could really set some foundation on the relationship we're trying to establish and strengthen with them. So I'd like to see some type of, some of those elements incorporated in some of our signage or art in the park.
Thank you, Counselor.
Would the Grand Ronde be willing to help with the signage because they do beautiful work, but it is
Yeah. the artwork
expensive.
themselves.
Right, and that would be, we'd have to reach out to our
Asking's
partners.
free, so
I say we ask,
I said
Yeah,
asking's free.
reach out to our partners and ask, like you said.
yeah,
So
because they do. Beautiful.
Ira, are you talking like statues or are you talking like naming things? What is, can you?
The Grand Ron.
Yeah,
Can you-
like statues would be, I think, they have some beautiful kind of like totem pole looking type things. So, using something like that within maybe our like signage that we're trying to include, so existing projects that we're trying to do, but incorporate their maybe heritage on those signage. So it's not just random piece of, wood out there, but with usage.
So would it be kind of like how when you go to Edgefield, they have the very artisan wayfinding inside? Would it be like that, but more inspired by the Grand Ron art and culture?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great example, because again, it's multi-use. We're using it to identify things in the park, but then again, kind of highlighting that artwork there.
So do you mix other, like the Hispanic group in? Do you mix in, you have, other than just the ground Ron, do you?
I just threw this out to Pat. How about this, like, just throwing this out? You can't really change up the futsal, but you could change up the skate park to have that Indian layer of the ground itself and the layout to be Indian art. Whether it be, something creative along those lines too, because that's a flowing diagram. Artwork.
And we also have to make it, if this is really beautiful artwork, that it's not borrowed by some.
I think.
Vandalized and-
I mean, like another Tribe North or something, you mean, or what?
People see.
Stuff. So do you incorporate,
Oh, no, I'm talking about the concrete
Oh,
work.
I'm not
do you
talking about
incorporate,
signage.
like I said, like a Hispanic, do you incorporate Asian, do you incorporate, all people? Focus on the ground round.
For me, a focus on the Grand Ron, and because that also goes to the city's land acknowledgement statement that city council reads before every city council. Just I think it's a little bit more of acknowledging that we are here on somewhat borrowed land, and we're just trying to incorporate that history.
And I know, just as a refresher, I know the 4.7 acre wetland park, I know we were trying to incorporate some of the Grand Ron elements there also. So just letting you
Sure.
know that too.
And it could be kind of a phase thing, as the front of the park is more of a suburban park, but as you get closer to the natural part of the park, it transitions to some of those other elements. I think it's worth considering and looking into.
Yeah, I would be up more for that than out front. I don't think it should, I don't think it would be like the focal point of coming into the park. Out front, I don't,
Yeah, we should be
yeah. it
all
should-
inclusive,
Yeah.
all,
Yeah, yeah.
because we have a lot of different cultures.
So I know.
There's a potential, well, yeah.
I know we had talked about this slide here, kind of an entrance sign that has, maybe welcome in different languages. I know we had talked about that. We had talked about the concrete retaining wall on the left side of this. But we talked staff wise, and we think it's too small to put any elements of,
All that.
writing on there. I know we had discussed possibly maybe either wayfinding here, or a big sign that just has welcome in just all different languages. So again, looking for recommendations from the Parks Commission, just throwing ideas out there.
So I'm gonna throw a few things out that I think are, me anyway, are really important. Lighting. important for safety. Keeping people here maybe a little later in the park later in the evening.
So is that kind of, I'll call it field north, kind of?
Yeah.
Or starting more at the northern part than the field, kind of, but leave the natural area natural?
Yeah, leave the natural area natural and light the front. I like the trail lighted
But
on the lower end.
doesn't the park close it?
Yeah.
So,
It's
you know,
it's
a
7
whole
now,
lot of-
dark.
yeah, yeah.
I like the lighting, so I'm gonna go through what lighting, I like the restroom. I think that's really important, and I guess these are the things that are gonna cost a little bit of money. Updated restrooms are super important. The more people that we bring into the park, that we're looking together, bring more people, you're gonna need bathroom. The turf field would be super nice. It doesn't the park so much as it stands today. I would like to see it, but it's a little out of the realm of a true park, a true nature park, kind of. But it would bring a lot of people in, a lot of youth into softball.
Kickball, softball,
Kickball, yes, yeah. And it's a field that wouldn't take a lot of maintenance. And it's great to play on, and you'd have to build 2 restrooms.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that would definitely be lighting, turf field, definitely. The playground equipment, that's a tough one. It could be updated, you know, there's stuff, if you go around to different parks, there's a lot of, you know, fancier, newer playground equipment, the costs associated with that. Huge, so I don't know if you just add to it, or you bite the bullet and do playground equipment. The futsal court, I think if you had a turf infield, that would get a lot of use, and I don't know, putting a foot and field in, I think you'd have to. That might get into a little. I have artificial turf in my house, so very aware of. And I think those are the things that I would put on the high end of importance, but the most. You know, you could have a volleyball area. That is maybe a little. Golf or whatever, call it. Horseshoe pits. Things that you could bring a few people in. A different group. Play horseshoes versus.
Can I share something? with you?
Sure, absolutely.
Horseshoe pits was something really, really popular at one point, but the ones that we've had at our churches, they've just gone away. And I've noticed that the ones that are maintained or were maintained by the city of Portland, they've all disintegrated. So I'd suggest we stay away from those. And the reason why is because of that new game called Cornhole.
Right.
That's what's popular, is taking its place.
Right.
They're not as dangerous, and that's what people have gone to. Yeah,
You just bring your.
yeah, those things are very portable and stuff. And
Yeah, they move them around.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea. But I'm just thinking kind of lower end. Draw people into it would be an older person's game. I out there throwing. Young kids aren't gonna throw. You don't even know what it is.
I love doing it.
Yeah, I do too. But you're right, it's probably not. But things like that, you know, those lower end things that you could,
If we had to make a list of favorites, I'm with the survey and saying that lighting would be my number one for the field, but not the trails.
sure. Yeah, you don't want, I don't think you want them going up the hill. Lower park,
What about just from the south of the ball field north, right? Is that what
Yeah, and
can we
the-
agree on that?
Yeah, then the playground equipment and the.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
that-
have a timer, like Pat says, that it,
Shuts off when the park closes.
or whatever time we see fit to turn it off, or you study it and see what
I think it'd be very seasonal, you know, during the winter months, ball field lighting's, you know, say less important, but probably not as important then as like frontage lighting, where on a nice winter's night, people could be using the basketball court or playground at 6 and it's very dark.
The other part is you don't turn them all off at once and then leave everybody trapped. You know, you do it stage.
Oh, that's a
Until they
good
get-
idea.
Is once they see this part go off, then they know to start heading towards their cars or heading out that way. Because if you just turn them all off,
That'd be awful.
that'd be awful.
I didn't know if Mary had more to add to the list. No?
I speak from experience from that, by the way. I think for another city. We turned off the lights all at once in a park.
When we would still probably keep some on, like right now, the parking lot lights ones are on, and around City Hall, they're on, but you know, I'll call it the extras would probably turn off at
When you're.
phased reasonable hours.
Excuse me, but when you're talking about lighting the field, I mean, how high up are these lights going to go and how strong is it going to be? And is it going to affect any of the citizens that live around the park? I mean.
That would be something
Lighting.
we would have to kind of explore and talk to the users of the sports field, probably working with Councilor Rios Campos and the different groups and organizations he's connected with to see what's going to be meaningful and what the use needs to be vis-a-vis then, you know, looking at our neighbors and being a good neighbor for them as well.
As you go to some places and it's like daylight, ooh,
Yeah.
and the poles are really high and I don't know what we need. I mean,
Right.
Some
And I think
research
that,
needs to be
like
done on
Greg
what-
said, reach out to Play East,
oh,
youth soccer, youth baseball, flag football, youth football, and find out what the users would like.
We can have a pretty good pulse on, I'll call it from this part of the park north to Halsey, but I think we'd want to work with our partners for the field specifically. But if you're saying, you know, lighting's a priority, those are the next steps we would take. So we wouldn't just say lighting and start building stuff and then go, here's your lighting. We would bring back the plans and ideas and get them refined.
There's also a company called Moscow Lighting that would be, I think that could help drop some, they have all types of lightings, and so they do sports fields and things of that nature, that they could have some good insights of what would work best, especially for our area.
Thanks, Counselor. I didn't know.
So it seemed like, you know, signs and lighting was a universal high priority. After that, it was almost just like what the survey said. We want these other things. They're all important. Should we just look at maybe getting design work on those elements? So as grant opportunities come up, we just take advantage of those. And is that the priority? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts for those bigger ticket items? What's the priority?
I already said my priority.
Have a
you like
priority,
the survey?
Catherine?
I like the survey.
Yeah. Safety, yeah.
lighting and restroom.
I think that's true because trouble sometimes. Well, then there's
Signs, lighting, restrooms, sounds like the kind of the big three,
And all the little ones that are
right?
not real
Let's
expensive.
look,
Because signage isn't a big ticket.
no,
Lighting and restroom are the,
what about a project. Like whether it's a nature play area in that north area, like I discussed, playground upgrade, skate park, futsal, turf.
I like the nature play. But that's, something that can be, and I can't see that would, or am I wrong?
Oh, it's not cheap.
Was it 120 for that part of it?
Yeah.
Because I know
You know
the
what?
project.
It's not going to create activity though.
I think a nature play area might be a bunch of logs, a bunch of spare time. Oh, we used
Yeah.
to play. A bunch of logs, things like that. Do we have to have
We do.
anything that's,
Well,
for a
To be
nature play
insured
area?
well, it's,
What?
when to have it insured, so we're not liable if a log kills a child or injures a child, it's nice to
I
have
mean, it's
things.
just like a log on the ground they can walk on,
You can do those things.
tire
You'll-
swings.
long as it's- As long as it's no higher than this.
Oh, my God.
I know.
That's why
You can't drive in the back.
the engineered
Or either.
I do.
Engineered
nature play
plans.
stuff. Yeah,
I've never seen any plans for a nature.
we have them.
Mhm.
We do.
We do have them.
How much do they cost?
Probably 150,000, I think is what it was.
Give or
Yeah.
take, yeah.
I mean, give or take, that was the plan for the southwest area by Hawthorne. So that's a bigger scale. Talking at just a smaller scale, I don't know.
I mean, I
50,
used to play with
75,000.
chainsaws when I was a kid, so.
Let's play with
50,000
knives
seems
and
Yeah.
fire.
pretty reasonable.
I mean, just put in, with some elevation changes, put in maybe a little nature slide, like,
City.
Counselor
right off
Smith said, maybe some logs to climb on. I think one of the other play areas was like a platform where kids climb up and they can sit. and-
One, there wasn't the framed in like digging area where it's,
Yeah.
dirt kids just dig in because
Be
you're not
kids.
supposed to dig in the park. But there's probably some lower cost items we can incorporate, call it to beta test it out, see how it resonates with the park guests before making a full investment. I'll call it into a larger nature play. If that's something you all say is something to look at.
Am I the only one that liked them?
I like
No.
the nature
No, I
park,
think a
but
nature park is
I
good.
don't think it should.
Yeah.
That was my thought, because my nature park when I played was.
That was unsafe. You're lucky to be
That was
alive.
the Stone Age.
So still skate park, futsal court kind of gets
Lower.
bottom, little lower. Okay.
Well, depending if Grand Ronde wants to. Aim on it and
Right,
contribute to it,
right.
could ask.
Well, there's ready things with, sorry, I can't remember the guy's name and I'm the one who sent it to you, but they're willing, if you have have it ready. to
Oh,
go,
Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
Tony Hawk Foundation. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Foundation. They do
this
grants.
big.
They built skate parks all over the United States. But the key is you have to have a design when you submit your application.
You have to have the land, design, everything.
Yeah.
For it.
Well-
Such a deal.
You can do that.
So those are, I think those are still important, and I guess I just gave the top two
Yeah.
that would be, in my view, the 5-year plan. Ball field,
Yeah. Okay.
nature area, it could be like a nature walk also with signage. Awesome, not make it a.
Yeah.
Well, the signage throughout the park, learning area. I mean, aren't you gonna say this tree and?
Oh, and we've got that.
We have,
That's the learning area already.
Could make some a little more interactive
Right,
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Again, we can talk to some folks and try to put together a $50,000 scope of something. Also just wondering, with the skate park, futsal, a big part of that is having a design, doing design work in the next, between now and next couple of years. How does that sound? Getting that part done so we can take advantage of grants. Where does that fit?
Yeah, if we can get grants, then there's no point in waiting.
You, could you incorporate like a futsal baseball field? Futsal or baseball?
Well, the futsal is a full court basketball court too, so it's futsal, full court
Full court
basketball
basketball.
covered.
Yeah.
Never seen
Futsal,
futsal baseball.
Futsal is probably gonna be way more popular than baseball.
It's hard to say. Last season, we had several groups attempt to use our
The
field.
field, it's just not
it's
playable.
hard.
It's not safe.
Even at
It's
free,
unplayable.
it wasn't gonna work.
Right.
And,
And we spent a lot of time when we played.
yeah,
We had the Rose City Darlings practice here for a couple of weeks.
yeah.
So one of the things that was brought to my attention for my RC car stuff that I do and a lot of other kids do, even old kids and young kids. We have dirt tracks and there's one at Ventura Park on Park Street. And it's also a BMA.
BMX,
What?
BMX.
For bicycles.
Mhm.
Yes. And they ride bicycles there and they do cars, RC cars there too. And so that
Dirt.
it's just made out of dirt. That could be also something for us to consider as well. That'd be very, very easily made by Public Works if consider that as well. That's become super. I'm loving that with my grandkids and stuff.
How
Every-
big does the area have that dirt?
Oh, the size of this room right here is absolutely perfect for that.
Hmm.
And we use right now the skate park in Sandy.
Hmm.
That's where I go every Friday with grandkids, and I've got some really great videos of them flying right outside of the park with our cars and go onto the football field and run all over the place over there. And my one car will do 60 miles per hour.
So to kind of
Yeah.
wrap up, Chair Mott, signs, lighting, restrooms, kind of the big three. Okay, and then possibly some design opportunities, whether it's skate park, futsal court, turf, something in that line, kind of the next three, kind of that 5 to 10 year build out time. Okay. And then look at, I could get a little more detail. We have the design for a nature park. Look at maybe that northeast corner for a possible nature play area, kind of get a little more hone in on the cost. Okay.
And then also on the disking, look at maybe, 3 or so
That was my next one.
baskets. Oh, sorry.
Next one was disc golf. Look at maybe put in, a 3-hole disc golf in that southwest corner. Did you want to say something? Yes, then.
Good idea.
Yeah, so we wouldn't ask that of you, but we might look at your contacts for the baskets.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, so James not only is our, utility worker, he also lives in Wood Village as well, so.
Yeah, he's a resident of Wood. And then possibly look at maybe an area for, I don't know, BMX track, RC car track, maybe possibilities. And then look at the kind of the low hanging fruit. When I say low hanging fruit, kind of the low cost items, which was There's some,
I think we just mentioned it was disc golf and now on
Yeah, I
our
think
track.
yeah. Horseshoes kind of got thrown out.
Yeah, that's cute.
Cornhole,
Cornhole. that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
fun.
maybe put that, in the nature play picnic area or something. So you have your little barbecue, play some
Yeah.
beanbag toss.
We are going to spruce up the baseball field.
We can try. There's
The
only-
idea was turf
Yeah, we were thinking about turf.
because
I
we
know that's not,
that's why we talked turf instead of the natural. The cost to refurb that is
25,
tens of
30,000 to get
thousands, and then
that play.
Yeah, I'd say do
the
that,
annual
but have
cost
nature
of it.
thing.
I
And-
would too.
And then it's a constant maintenance to keep it
Yeah,
that
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna do anything with the base, turf is the way to go.
I mean, you look at all the high schools and now that it's trickling down to
Yeah.
more the little league and youth baseball. They're doing at least the infields.
And that's why
to
we
get it
talk
playable.
infield for the
Infield,
turf,
yes.
keeping the bulk of it naturals for
Right.
the thought, but at
Just
least.
that infield area and behind home plate.
Yeah.
I agree with everyone that we go with that over the play area,
I mean, the nature area,
the nature area, yes.
Yeah.
The
all
the
field.
ball field.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess we're changing things on you. Keep here very long and we'll just really change our minds several times.
Well, and I think that's appropriate as different, we get different amenities in and the use changes and new community members come and go. This isn't, that do it in this order,
Yeah.
but it also gives staff a direction to go, here's where some focal points are. And as we build the building blocks, if things change, it's still dynamic enough to say, we've got a plan for this, but we're actually going to build this plan over here now. And I think a turf field is,
Lighting, restroom and turf field.
it's not a big lift comparatively to some of the other potential projects I
And then-
think could.
And then design opportunities
Mhm.
for other.
But you got to remember too, that most of the time that I was here in the evening, soccer, that all of them playing, they weren't playing baseball.
Well, we have the soccer fields on the other end.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
we can do both.
Mhm.
But years ago, I used to see a lot of kids out there.
But,
playing
and
baseball.
that on the flip side of that, Commissioner, is it's not playable. So you're not going to see folks out there.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So if it's playable,
Yeah,
kind of, if you build it, they will come.
yeah.
A check. Counselor Rios Campos, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I was just about to chime in anyways. But I know it's like kind of towards the bottom, but looking at usage and things of that nature. Again, I know the survey said that storage was kind of towards that bottom, but if we're looking at, baseball, I don't think we want to have the bases out there or things of that nature. And if we're looking at soccer, kind of where I know kind of a private club came in and kind of set those goals that have been used by the public, but I think safety and locking some of these things up would be key. Or if we have an opportunity where somebody wants to do like some type of league, but storage is an issue, having that available. Is there any thoughts around that?
I know we had talked about storage in our CDBG project. And so it wasn't, we're waiting to see what the amenities come out at to see if there is additional funding that we could put maybe some kind of storage facility in it would be the southwest corner where the second ball field is, that area where that backstop's coming out, maybe some kind of storage facility there. Or maybe a post or something that the goal post can be, locked to or something like that. I think, again, that's more a lower cost that I think as a staff, if that's a priority, we can make things like that happen.
And so who would have the keys to get in and out of this store? Garrett.
It would be.
So it would be let's say it's Play East that and then it would be Play East that has those keys.
Or if there's
Or if
another
it's-
kind of private club, they've got to come in, fill out the forms and probably for storage, a nominal fee of some kind for that use.
Or Reynolds Little League, youth football, youth soccer.
And what would that cost? Got any ideas?
Oh,
It's going to kind of how much for how much. You can get kind of prefabbed storage units for $5,000 to $10,000, this kind of bring them in. We'd probably want to dress it up a little bit, paint it go away green. So it's not as you're walking the park or visiting, you don't know it's there unless you know it's there kind of thing. But I'd imagine, yeah, it's 10 or under for something of a park our size in the teams that would be using it or organizations that would be using it. You'd want to have maybe 4 or 5 storage lockers and then maybe some posts or attachments for the goals and things.
Could be made out of like. Set on fire.
A lot of them
are pretty durable that they use for baseball.
Yeah.
That's a smaller version, but
Right.
I know those I've experienced, they're pretty
A
durable.
lot of them are metal now,
Yeah.
which you can, still not vandal resistant. You can cut into it, but certainly setting it on fire will just turn it brown.
For baseball, you're just storing the base.
Yeah,
Football, they're gonna take their gear.
yeah. Which if there's a post there to, lock them up, we can accommodate that. So I have signs, lighting, restrooms.
Turf field,
You need another tablet.
and then design
Disc
work.
golf, nature park design, skate park design, futsal design,
And
kind of
we
gets it.
want everything that was on the list, original list.
Yeah,
Pretty much done.
He said it was a blank wall, so.
no lighting on the backside of the multi-purpose field. Everything's going to be from that south ball field, everything north.
Except
Except for the disc golf.
No lights around the whole trail. The lower trail.
The lower here, yeah. Yeah. So the back of the ball field, back
Oh.
here, the multi-purpose field forward.
Okay, gotcha.
Except at Hawthorne, there's a corner house right there. It'd be good
We're
to
gonna
put
put a
some
bright light
spotlights
there.
right on that one.
Shut up.
Think how safe it'll be.
Yeah, right.
Anybody else? Counselor Campos?
No, all that sounds good.
Okay.
Good.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is wrap up everything that was discussed tonight, and I will present it to council, I believe, March 14th at the March 14th council meeting.
And we'll probably look at adding some capital increment to next year's budget and start ticking away at the list.
Right.
And I think some of the items like signs and, because we do still have some allocations left over for this budget for signs, we can look at doing, adding some wayfinding signs. And I think it was the first slide I had actually had the markers in the lower corner.
Mm.
So it's on our radar. We're just trying to figure out where the starting points are. And, because if someone goes to the left out here, is it the same as if they go to the right? So we're just trying to figure that out. If they come in off Hawthorne, if they come in off Tree Hill, if they come in off Cottonwood, what does that look like?
Mhm.
And you do a combo then, like the walking trail here is it's just a sign, the walking trail is this distance. And then, the whole trails are this distance, but then you have stop and end point. So it's probably a mix and match.
Yeah. So it's just how that it's going to look. And then there's all kinds of distance markers. You can have them custom made that say City of Wood Village, mile marker or start. Then you can have mile marker 0.25, 0.50. Kind of neat. So all kinds of options there. And they just, you stick them on a piece of wood or like a 4x4. But like you guys said, maybe look into the Grand Raw and see if they want to Instead of a 4x4 out there, maybe it's some kind of decorative post that it gets put on.
Yeah.
So there's options out there. Anything else?
I have something else.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody has met James. Park worker. He's doing a fabulous job in the park. I met him coming up the hill on a wheeler as I was picking oyster mushrooms off a log and I thought, oh man, I'm busted. And he's done fantastic work and he lives in Wood Village and he has a heart for the park. And I don't think we see that a lot. So I just want to give kudos to him and those mushrooms were delicious.
There's actually an article in our upcoming newsletter that, talks about James, but also then the nature habitats that he's created.
Yes, yes.
It's really cool.
The place. And I told him about the hosta garden I planted so he wouldn't dig that
Yes.
up by mistake, but yeah, and we're working on the carnivorous plants too.
Right.
Oh, James.
Good job, Pat.
Anything else, Chair Mott?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Mushrooms
input.
were delicious.
Bye.
Big ones. All of them. Creating them through the-
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.